Up until now, we've only been using an HTML table to assist us to accomplish our design. We've used it to create our header row, the pasta section. We've also used it to create the individual menu items like the fat mac, the ingredients, the price. In the real world, when you build websites, you most likely won't be using a HTML table to create this type of content. And you might be asking, why did I show you how to use an HTML table then? Well, in my head, an HTML table gives you a nice reference point on how things work. And the next technique I'm going to show you is going to be working in a similar manner. And now that you have an HTML table in your mind, you can use that as reference on how this will work. What I'm going to show you now is called Flexbox, and that is a display property you can set on an element, and as soon as you set that element becomes a container for child components to render in a specific way. Let's get started, then I can show you how that works. Currently we have the menu section, which is the food header. I am going to reuse that last name, and I'm going to modify it a bit. I'm going to call it menu dash section container. And I'm going to say display, and I'm going to say flex. And the important part for this layout, we're going to say flex direction, and we're going to say column. I'm going to explain this in a moment, but we need visual guidance on this. So let's copy. So what we also need to do now is we now need to create a header because we're changing the name. Menu section header, and this will go into that, and we're going to keep these ones as is. That's fine. Let's copy the class and scroll down, and above the table I'm going to use a div for this example. It's the most basic HTML element you can get, and this video is not about semantical HTML using latest HTML5 elements. That might be a future video, but for now I just want to show you the basics. So we have a menu section container, and we now need a header element for the different sections like food and pasta, and we can use an h2 for this because we already have an h1, and we can then use an h2 which will be food. You can set the class on that. Oops. Menu section header, and we can then copy this into a div. Copy that. Ingredients, price. And then we can copy the marinated olives, the rosemary, orange, and chili. And we can copy the price of the $6. So currently don't think I'm gonna get that much visual on this. Let's see, let's save. Let's see what happens. Okay, so currently it stretches all the way the entire width of the screen. let's limit that on, let's set the same. I think on the table we specified it's 600 pixels, so we're going to do the same for this container. Say width 600 pixels. So now it should be the same width as the table. Great. I'll zoom in a bit here so you can see better. But we now all our elements are left aligned. Okay, wait, before we get there, let me explain what display flex does. So as soon as you set display flex, you need to set the flex direction. By default, the flex direction is row, which then ends up rendering columns inside the row. So that might sound the reverse. I'm setting it as a row, but columns appear. So let's undo this. Let's hover on flex direction. So this specifies how flex items are placed in the flex container. So that makes more sense now. So if we say flex direction row, the items are represented as columns because the container is acting as a row, and what do you usually get inside of a row? You get columns. Let me show that visually for you. Can I zoom in on this or not? Ah, we can. Not so much. Okay, so here we have an empty spreadsheet. So think of display flex and setting flex direction as a row. In a spreadsheet, you have a row like this. What do you have inside of this row? You have columns. So that's what's being rendered here. It's a row, and they're all being added as columns. The parent is rendered as a row, and the child elements are added or rendered as columns. Great. So if we set this to be column, save that, go back here. Now they're beneath each other. Food, marinated olives, like that. So what do you get inside of a column? You have rows. So inside of the column A, you have row 8, row 9, row 10. They're all stacked on top of each other. And that's the same thing that happened here. The container now is acting as a column, and the items inside are stacked as rows. I hope that helps, and if you can always keep that as a visual explanation in your head, I think you should be able to use Flexbox very easily. So with that explanation out of the way, let's try and get our design to look, or our render to look the same. Let's start with the text alignment. So everything is currently aligned left, and I think we had, yes, so previously on the table tbody td we had text align center. So we can create, let's copy this. I don't want to set this on each one of them. We can do menu section, no autocomplete there, thank you very much. Ingredients, and we have price. And on these ones we can say text align center. So food jumped to the middle, and oh, we forgot the name. Oh, yeah, my bad. These are all menu item. That's why I didn't get autocomplete. Name. So marinated olives, rosemary, and we also need to set the background color on these ones. I think we set that on the table. Or no, we set it on the TD, but we're going to need to set it on all of them like that. And you might be asking, why do we have this white space here between food and the content? The reason is we used an H2 for our header, which is over here. And by default, your browser adds margin on H1s, margin top and a margin bottom. Let's have a look. If I hover on it, you'll see the red orange is the margin. And if you go to compute it, you can see the margin at the top. So we can unset that by overriding it on the header over here. Margin. Let's just set the top and the bottom to 0. We don't need to set it on all of them. There we go. Now it's nice and flush again. Let's update the border. So we need to set the border radius, and I think we set it previously on the TH. There we go. We can copy this down to this one. Save that. There we go. Now our borders are back, and one thing we have to do now is copy this. Currently we don't have the borders on the individual, so on the marinated olives, rosemary, orange and chili, we don't have borders on the sides anymore there. So let's update that. Border left 2 pixels, solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and do the same for right. There we go, our border is back, and I forgot, you probably remembered to add the footer. So section, footer, and it should work. Oops, just like that. No, we don't want $6 in this one. Thank you. Great, that works fine. One thing that's now broken is our spacing on the last element. So we don't have this white space anymore. So we can fix that. So we have 2 options. We can add it on the price, or we can do the same that we did on the previous where we said last child. I'm going to show you. Still do that. Last child. Let's see. I think we need a star in front of it. Yeah. So element is menu section container, and then any elements of the stars for any attribute, or it targets any element, and it should be the last child of the menu section container. And we want the padding I'm trying to think. In this instance we want to set the, yeah, we can still keep the padding bottom pixels. Save. My bad. The last child is actually the footer, and that's not what we want. We want the second last child, and I'm not going to try and do that with math now here. I am going to just add this on the price. Heading bottom, price. There we go. One thing I noticed is our border is now all the way. That's not good. Let's see. I think that might be the difference in using it on a table versus on a Flexbox. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so the price, we are missing our we are missing the padding on. So we set the padding left and padding right on the TDs on when we use the HTML table. So let's fix that by adding it on to these ones. Not on all of those, otherwise we want to add the padding on the header. Great. So now that works. One thing we can do though is, so currently we're setting all of these on the individual items. Oh no, sorry, on these ones. We're setting them on the individual items. We could create a wrapper or a class to wrap all of these in and just set it on that one class. So currently these are all floating like that, but that means we will also have to set it on the footer. So then the footer already has its own border, so it's fine, that can work. So we can say menu item, because this is a menu item, and then inside of each one of the menu items we have the name, ingredients, and price. So this will probably, let's see, so it still renders fine, and most probably because these are all divs, so they're all display blocks, so they're all below one another. So that still works fine. Menu item, where did we remove that? So we want to take this out. The neighbors are having another quarrel. Sorry for them. So we can also move the background color now to not be on all of them, but instead to be on this one. That's going to go all the way to the end again. There we go. And we should be able to, I think if we set the text align here, that should inherit to everything that's inside there. See? There we go. Yeah. So because we set it on the menu item, the text align, that's all trickling down to the child elements. So if you go to compute it and just filter by text align and saying center, and it's because it's coming from the menu item. Great. So let's add, so I'm going to remove all the container. I'm going to remove all the table stuff so that we are sure everything works for that one. Yep, still works. Great. The only problem now is, no problem. Cool. So I'm going to copy and paste all the individual items. Pause the video and see if you can do that on your own based on this structure, and unpause the video to see how I did it if you get stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here, but I'm going to remove these ones. And I'm going to then use this one as my reference. So I'm going to copy and paste that. And then I'm going to, so we already have the marinated olives up until there. So now we need the shaved fennel salad. This is going to take a while, so I might speed this up, and it's going to be a lot faster for you to watch. If I speed it up too quickly, feel free to slow it down, and if you want to see more details. One thing I did notice is, I'm not sure if, yeah, that is, so we added the spacing on price, which padding bottom, but now each one of them are getting the spacing. So let's move that down, remove that, and on the footer we can add a margin top for this top, and then it's like so. That means those will be fixed, and so I think that is just the empty one that is causing problems. Just take the empty one out for now, see what happens. Oh, I think I still kept in the, no, price is fine. Oh, of course, I'm being silly here. So the padding is, so the margin is on the footer, that's why we're getting the white space. Let's think, what can we do? We can set the background color, which is this one. So what we can do is we can set them, instead of margin, we can do padding. So this will make it go flush again, but now the entire image is being stretched, which we don't want. So what we can do is, instead of, let's see, so we'll cover, no, that's not gonna work either. This is an interesting one. So I think the easiest solution for this is to create a specific utility class that will create that spacing for us. I'm pretty sure there's other clever solutions you could come up with that I can't think of right now, but it's fine. Menu item space, just gonna call it that. Background color is going to be this, and remove the padding there. So for this one, I think we could just set the height, and that should be fine. Oh no, we don't want to set a height. We can, because we're going to add this on the last one, we can say padding bottom. Copy this and put it on the very last one that you want to create the spacing on. So thead octopus. No. Did I put it on the wrong one? Yep. Thead octopus is this one. Now we have that spacing in the right place. So I'm going to take it off for now, and then we can add it back as soon as we have all of them. So marinated seafood. Great. So we need to add our spacing on all of them. I did not do that. Let's scroll up and find, what did we call it? Space, something with a space. I didn't add it on any of them. It's fine. So the first one that's last is okra. Add that in. Space. Pasta. Last one is, I'm not gonna try and pronounce that one. Pizza. Last one is the nonna. Sweets. Last one is the salted caramel. And then on the tea, that's the last one. There we go. And we need to add our spacing back in between the items. So let's do that. Go all the way to the container. And you can say modern. I can't remember what we had this as. I think it was 36. No, I think it was 48 pixels. Can't remember. See, yeah, it looks fine. One thing I noticed is that I missed in the other videos is our food items are all uppercase, lowercase, so they're title case, but the mocks has it all as uppercase. We can fix that with CSS alone instead of changing each element's text. We can fix that because we are using a CSS class on the names. So what we can set that to is text transform, I think it is, and we can say uppercase. And like magic, all of them are now uppercase, even though the text itself is still upper and lowercase. Yeah, that's a handy way you can style your elements. And I think we finished. Congratulations if you made it all the way to this video, to the end, and I really hope you learned something and that you can apply whatever you learned in this video and the previous videos on your next project. Please feel free to add comments on this video and the other videos if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. Thank you and goodbye.